All right, let's dive in. Every business has this hidden energy leak that just quietly drains momentum. And it's not what you think. It's not about being overworked. It's something sneakier. Decision ambiguity. So today we're going to break down where this leak is coming from and, most importantly, how to plug it with one super simple tool. I mean, how many of you have felt this way? You hear all the time that founders are exhausted from making these huge, world-changing decisions. But what if that's not the real story? What if the real energy drain isn't the big stuff, but the small choices you have to make over and over and over again? See, the problem isn't the work itself, it's the repetition. And that right there leads to a really powerful shift in thinking. We usually think of clarity as just a tool for focus, right? But it's so much more than that. It's actually one of the best energy management strategies you can possibly have. It's all about protecting your team's momentum and, honestly, your own sanity. So where is this energy actually leaking from? It's not where you'd expect. It's not from those big quarterly strategy meetings. Nope. The real culprits are those little, seemingly minor decisions that just keep popping up day after day, all because the rules of the game are, well, they're fuzzy. I mean, just think about it for a second. How many times has your team gotten stuck debating a one-off pricing exception or gone back and forth on shifting marketing priorities? These little questions, they just demand attention. They suck up energy and they slow everything down. And here's the kicker. It's not because they're hard questions. It's because they've never been answered once and for all. Okay, so how do you know if this is happening in your own organization? How can you spot the leak? Well, let's run a quick diagnostic. There are 4 really clear signs of friction to look for. So we've got repetition, heavy choices, constant escalation, and no closure. The best way to think about these is like symptoms. If you start recognizing them, it's a huge sign that you're dealing with this root problem of ambiguity. All right, first up, and probably the most obvious one, is just plain repetition. If you feel like you're in a movie on repeat, solving the same small problems over and over, that's your first clue. It's a dead giveaway that you haven't set a clear principle to just solve it for good. Okay, number 2 is when a decision feels heavier than it should. You know the feeling. A small choice comes up, and suddenly it creates this huge amount of stress. You hesitate, you overthink it, you ask for a dozen opinions. That's not a lack of confidence, it's a lack of a yardstick to measure the decision against. It turns what should be a simple check into a whole emotional debate. Now, this next one is really interesting because it's all about how ambiguity changes your team's behavior. When the principles aren't clear, people stop being proactive, they lose confidence, and they start escalating everything to leadership. And they're not even doing it to get an answer. They're doing it to protect themselves from making a mistake. And all that does is push more and more decisions right back to the top. And the last sign, number 4, is this feeling of having no closure. These unresolved choices, they just create this constant background noise in your head. These open loops. If you find yourself second-guessing a decision long after you've made it, that's a pretty good sign it was based on a mood or maybe pressure and not on a clear, solid principle. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We know the symptoms. This energy drain is a real thing and it's serious. So what do we do about it? How do we fix it? How do we plug this leak and get all that momentum back? The solution is this really powerful idea called a binary filter. And the whole point of it is to turn those exhausting, wide-open debates into simple, practical checks that literally anyone on your team can do. So what exactly is a binary filter? Think of it as a simple statement that works like a decision shortcut. It's not some fluffy mission statement or a slogan for the wall. It's a real operational tool that tells everyone in the organization how to act, especially when no one from leadership is in the room watching. And this is the massive mental shift a binary filter creates. It completely changes the question. Your employee is no longer stuck asking that paralyzing, ambiguous question, what should I do here? Instead, they get to ask a super simple binary question, does this meet our standard? The answer is either yes or it's no. That's it. Now, this is a really important point. These filters are not meant to be rigid bureaucratic rules. They're principles. They're designed to guide good judgment, not to kill it. I mean, you can't write a rule for every single scenario that could ever happen, but you can define your stance on things. Okay, let's look at this in action with a few examples. Imagine a salesperson is about to close a deal, but they know it might damage the client relationship in the long run. This simple principle right here gives them instant clarity.
And the reason this works so well is that it solves a really common conflict before it even happens. It empowers that team member to make the right call, right there on the spot. No need to escalate, long-term trust wins, decision made. Move on.
All right, here's another great one, and this one is all about setting boundaries. This statement is incredibly powerful for any product or sales team that's just constantly getting hit with requests for special features. Why does this work? Because it draws a clear line in the sand. It just completely eliminates the need for that internal debate every single time a new customization request comes in. Think of the hours saved. It stops scope creep before it even gets a chance to start. Okay, one last example for you. This one is all about directing a team's creative energy. It's perfect for those teams that might be tempted to reinvent the wheel for every new campaign or every new feature. What this principle does is provide focus. It guides the team on where to put their energy, not on chasing endless novelty, but on refining and scaling what's already working. It prevents that burnout you get from constantly reinventing. It's a super clear directive for how to use their energy in the smartest way. So, when you actually start putting these filters in place, what's the big payoff? Well, it's way more than just making faster decisions. What you're really doing is transforming the energy of your entire organization. You get that lost energy back. Your team feels more autonomous, more confident, because they actually know how to make a decision. Your whole operation starts moving faster because you're not getting bogged down by all that repetitive friction. And for leaders, you get that priceless mental closure, which frees you up to focus on the next big thing. So, I want to leave you with this one question to think about. In your own business, right now, what's one recurring decision that would immediately feel lighter for you and for your whole team if the criteria were just made crystal clear? Find that decision, because that's probably where your energy is leaking.